You've probably heard that riding lowers your stress. Fresh air, freedom, wind in your face, all that. But that's not even close to the real story. There's something happening inside your brain and your body every single time you throw a leg over your bike that almost nobody talks about. Scientists have actually studied this with brain scans, blood tests, and real experiments, and what they found goes way deeper than riding is relaxing. One of these reasons is so strange that researchers compared what happens on a motorcycle to an actual trauma therapy technique doctors use in hospitals. Stick around, because reason 5 is going to change the way you think about every single ride you've ever taken.
Reason 1. Here's something wild. When you're riding, your brain does two completely opposite things at the exact same time. Researchers at UCLA hooked riders up to brainwave monitors and had them go out on actual rides, not simulators. What they found was strange. Riding turns down your brain's reaction to background noise, stuff like wind, engine hum, and traffic, the same way your brain learns to ignore a ceiling fan after a while. But at the exact same time, it turns up how fast your brain notices anything unexpected: a car drifting, a pothole, a shadow moving at the edge of your vision. So your brain is tuning out the boring stuff and cranking up your threat radar, both at once, in the same few seconds. Normally, your brain doesn't run both of those systems together. Riding forces it to. Now here's the twist almost every video skips. The same researchers tested people who were simply sitting in a car, driving normally down the same kind of roads. Nothing happened. No alertness boost, no change in brain activity, nothing close to what showed up on a motorcycle. So it's not just being in a moving vehicle that does this. It's not the wind or the scenery either. It's specifically the active, high-stakes nature of riding, the fact that your life genuinely depends on paying attention. Your brain knows the stakes are real, so it switches into a sharper, more alert version of itself, something researchers compared to the kind of boost you'd get from a cup of coffee. That's not relaxation. That's your brain waking itself up on purpose without you even noticing it's happening. Reason 2. You've probably heard the stat that riding drops your stress hormone, cortisol, by around 28% after just one ride. That part gets repeated in almost every riding video out there. But almost nobody mentions the other half of what actually happens in your bloodstream. While cortisol goes down, a second hormone called DHEAS goes up at the same time. Some scientists nickname it the resilience hormone or even the youth hormone because it directly works against the long-term wear and tear that stress hormones cause in your body. So riding isn't just switching off your stress for an afternoon, it's actively shifting your whole body into a recovery state. Think of it like this. Lowering cortisol is like turning down the volume on a blaring fire alarm. Raising DHEAS is like sending in a repair crew while that alarm is still fading out in the background. Your body isn't just calming down when you ride, it's actively rebuilding itself, hormone by hormone, ride by ride. That's the real difference between just feeling okay for an hour after a ride and actually becoming a more resilient, harder-to-rattle version of yourself over time, ride after ride, week after week. If this is already changing how you look at your rides, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this video reach more riders who need to hear this, and honestly, we're only 2 reasons in. It gets better from here. Reason 3. Most of the research on riding and the brain is what's called correlation. Scientists test a group of riders one time, compare them to non-riders, and notice a difference. Interesting, sure, but it doesn't actually prove that riding caused anything. This next study is different, and honestly, it's the one that convinced me this stuff is real, not just a nice theory. A neuroscientist in Japan working with Yamaha ran an actual experiment instead of a one-time comparison. He found a group of men who had motorcycle licenses but almost never rode, sitting in a garage collecting dust. He split them into 2 groups. One group had to ride motorcycles regularly for 2 full months. The other group kept living exactly the way they had been, no riding at all. Then he brought both groups back in and tested their brains again. The riders showed real, measurable improvements on thinking and memory tests. The group that didn't ride showed nothing. Researchers even pointed out that regular car driving simply doesn't activate the same parts of your brain the way riding does. This wasn't a snapshot of two different types of people. This was before and after on the same men, cause and effect. 2 months of riding physically changed how their brains performed on a test, which means this isn't just a nice feeling you get after a ride, it's an actual, measurable upgrade happening inside your head.
Reason 4. This next one is the strangest reason on this whole list, and it's the one I promised you at the start. Think about what your body is actually doing while you ride, second by second. You're countersteering left, then right. You're squeezing the clutch, tapping the rear brake, shifting your weight and leaning through every corner. It's constant, rhythmic, back and forth movement, left side, right side, over and over, mile after mile. That kind of alternating side-to-side pattern actually has a name in psychology. It's called bilateral stimulation, and it's the exact technique used in a well-known trauma therapy called EMDR, where a therapist has someone move their eyes back and forth or tap alternating sides of their body to help the brain process painful memories. Walking, swimming, and yes, riding a motorcycle all naturally create this same left-right pattern without you even trying. To be very clear here, nobody is saying riding replaces therapy, and you should never treat it that way if you're actually struggling. But the structural pattern of what your body is doing on a bike lines up almost exactly with a technique doctors use on purpose to help people process stress and trauma. That's a pretty wild coincidence for something most riders never even think about while they're just trying to hit their line through a corner. Reason 5. Here's the biggest myth of all, and it's the one that ties every other reason on this list together. Everyone assumes riding works because it relaxes you, the same way a warm bath or a lazy afternoon relaxes you. It doesn't. Riding is not relaxation at all. It's a dose of controlled stress on purpose, and that difference matters way more than you'd think. Psychologists actually split stress into a few different types. There's distress, the bad kind, the kind that wears you down over time. There's eustress, the good kind, the exciting, exhilarating kind you feel on a roller coaster or right before a big win. And there's a lesser-known third type called sus-stress, which basically means not enough stress, which sounds harmless but is now recognized as its own real problem, tied to boredom, low motivation, and feeling stuck. Riding pushes you straight into that good stress zone on purpose. Your heart rate climbs, your focus sharpens instantly, every ounce of your attention locks onto the road in front of you. You're facing something real with real consequences and handling it, corner after corner, mile after mile. This lines up with something scientists call stress inoculation, and it's the same basic idea behind a vaccine. A small, controlled, manageable dose of a threat trains your system to handle much bigger threats later on. Every single time you ride, you're not escaping stress, you're practicing it, safely, in small, controlled doses, so the rest of your life, work, deadlines, arguments, bad days, all of it starts to feel a little more manageable by comparison. That's the real reason riding helps your mental health. It was never really an escape from stress. It was never about switching your stress off. It's training for it, one ride at a time. So no, it was never just fresh air and freedom, and it was never just riding is fun, so it must be good for me. It's your brain running two opposite systems at the exact same time. It's one hormone rebuilding you while another one quietly fades into the background. It's a real 2-month study that proved cause and effect, not just a coincidence between two different groups of people. It's a rhythmic movement pattern that lines up with a technique therapists use on purpose to help people heal. And underneath all of it, it's a controlled, voluntary dose of stress that trains your entire nervous system to handle everything else life throws at you. Next time someone asks you why you ride, You don't have to say it's just fun anymore. You've got 5 real, science-backed answers, and now, so does everyone watching this.